Hey, welcome to Caffe Lena Poetry Night. Let's hear it for all of us who came out. We got some people here I haven't seen in a very long time. It's really nice. Kathleen, our featured poet, Kathleen Aguero, I haven't seen her in a number of years. So let's hear it for her. She is here from Massachusetts, so that's exciting. We're gonna have Kathleen come up and read for us. She has some books in the back for sale. And the reading is gonna be live streamed. So, be on your best behavior listening to her. We wanna make an impression online.
Just the reading, not the open mic.
But not the open mic, nope. So then once Kathleen is done, we're gonna shut off the camera and you guys can do whatever you want, pretty much. So just hold it in and you'll get your time. And we'll go over the open mic stuff. If anyone, watching wants to come down to some other month and be a really good audience member, then you can do that. Just go to the website and figure it out. I'm gonna start with a poem and then we'll introduce Kathleen. And you guys ready to get the night going? Yay. I'm not supposed to touch this mic over here, and all I want to do is touch that mic. Okay, so if you see me go towards it, just go like, no! I'm counting on you. All right, this is called Rain by Kazim Ali. With thick strokes of ink, the sky fills with rain, pretending to run for cover, but secretly praying for more rain. Over the echo of the water, I hear a voice saying my name. No one in the city moves under the quick, sightless rain. The pages of my notebook soak, then curl. I've written, yogis open their mouths for hours to drink the rain. The sky is a bowl of dark water rinsing your face. The window trembles, liquid glass shatters into rain. I am a dark bowl waiting to be filled. If I open my mouth now, I could drown in the rain. I hurry home as though someone is there waiting for me. The night collapses into your skin. I am the rain. And that's Kazim Ali. All right, so Kathleen is a wonderful teacher and a very accomplished poet. Her most recent book, which she has here with her, is World Happiness Index, and that's from Tiger Bark Books out of Syracuse. She has 4 other poetry collections. She has one with her also tonight. After that, she has copies of here. She has co-edited 3 volumes of multicultural literature for the University of Georgia. She's a consulting poetry editor at Kenyon Review. She teaches in the Solstice low-residency M.F.A. program and also in the Changing Lives Through Literature program, which is an alternative sentencing program. She's won grants from impressive foundations, and she's here with us tonight. Let's give her a warm welcome, Kathleen Aguero.
Thank you, Carol, for that introduction and for inviting me here. It's nice to be back at Caffe Lena. It's really weird that I can't see any of you exactly because of the lights, but I like to start my readings off with a poem by someone else. And tonight, I'd like to start off with a poem by Allison Stone, which I admire for her skillful response to a very recent event. Again, by Allison Stone. The 10 dead adults in the supermarket are pushed aside by 19 children who smile naively from photographs. Her proudly raised honor roll certificate, his change maker t-shirt. For Christmas cards, politicians pose their families with guns. The guns shine. The guns are bleeding the children again and yet again, rounds spent in endless repetition. that church or concert hall, this classroom with floors bleached, swept clean of hair and bone. What needs to be done? Not done. The school had too many doors, holes blown through their hearts, the parents by wood boxes, carved stone. That's for Allison Stone. I'd like to begin by reading some poems from World Happiness Index, including the title poem. As you may know or may not, there's a foundation, and every year they send out like a questionnaire and rate countries according to a happiness index. And people always ask me, so I looked it up. Finland is usually number 1, and Sweden and Norway switch places as then Denmark, sorry, and Sweden and Norway switch places as numbers 3. In 2019, the United States was number 19. The World Happiness Index 2019. How happy I am to live in the 19th happiest country in the world. Tulips rose this month through the arsenic soil, and the air I breathe is dark with money. In country 19, we can say what we want. A professor in California is allowed to say we elected a racist president, and those who disagree can leave phone messages threatening his 9-year-old daughter because we live free or die. Our children leave their houses each morning happy, not knowing what adventures the day holds. Might they be shot on the sidewalk by an officer who mistakes their cell phone for a gun, or by a stray bullet in the playground? Or will they get to school where they can hide in the closet from an active shooter? If they arrive home safely, there's always tomorrow, and maybe tomorrow their teachers will have guns. They are happy to be living in this just happy enough country where no one dares get sick for fear of bankruptcy. If you try in happy country 19, you too can be rich as the sea. And if not, there are lots of street corners to live on and happy things to swallow or snort. And the fetid air from the subway grate will keep you warm at night if you knock someone else off it playing King of the Mountain. We have problems, of course, that we're trying to solve, but we're from the country of hard work and initiative, of take what you want and say it was yours all along. Numbers 1, 2, and 3, with their orderly lives, their health care and housing and good schools for free, grow soft and mushy. Not us. We're the ice inside a snowball, the rubber hose that leaves no mark. We dance on the head of uncertainty, cruelty's pin. Every morning our sun rises, red, white, and blue. Thank you. Thank you. You always know where you are by the response to that poem. Fear Street. I lived on Main Street in a quiet city where citizens spoke kindly of those they didn't have to live with. But underneath every complacent surface is a set of fangs, sharp and growing sharper, hungry, irritable, insatiable. How suddenly it seemed to draw back its lips. I didn't see it coming. They said, that's because you didn't have to. It wasn't gnawing on you. How indignant I was on their behalf. How I loved my indignation. They rolled their eyes at my innocence, which was expensive and costing their lives. But I'd never hurt you, I said. We all live on Fear Street, they replied, but you couldn't read the signs. We're all being swallowed. Go ahead. If you don't believe us, walk into its maw. Wow, I've never had applause after every poem before. Don't feel you have to keep it up. It's okay. Here we go. The rider, the horse. Fear saddled me, trained me, stabled me, named me, braided my hair. Carrot and stick taught me to dance, taught me to rear, shod me and hobbled me, bred me and pastured me, cantered me, galloped me, spurred me and drove me out of the meadow into the thicket, out of the thicket into the woods. Fear held the bridle, tightened the bit. Fear was the master, brutal and quick. But was I the horse? Was I the rider? Okay. So the next poem, if I can find it here, was written for my my grandson, but it's really for all of my grandchildren. I don't know what happened to my system of Post-its. It's kind of fallen apart. Here I am, at 16 months, brown and gold. My grandson plucks a marigold poking through a neighbor's white fence, crushes it between his fingers while I try to remember if it's poisonous. 3 days later, he's alive, so I cross the marigold off my list of potentially lethal flora toddlers might put in their mouths. So far, he has not harmed himself, poking out his eyes by running while carrying a stick, something my mother assured me would happen if I ever ran with a stick in my hand. Though he tugs hard at the baby gate, he has not pulled it down. Though he has banged on the window, he has not shattered it, cut himself, or fallen to the pavement 2 stories below. His skin has not turned from brown to blue during a tantrum, and he has grabbed the dog's whiskers without being bitten. He bulldozes his way. He prods and he pushes. He tries to put the whole of the dangerous world in his mouth while I follow, ready to snatch the worst away. When tired, he wobbles, he falls, he cries, but the next day he's walking again. Golden marigold petals stain his brown hand as he carries his stick. So far, no one thinks it's a gun. Change of pace here. For a while, I've been writing these self-portrait poems. They're kind of fun, so I want to read a few of them for you. The first one is Self-Portrait as Geranium. Here's all I've got. 1 showy cluster of red blossoms, fancy hat on a scrawny neck, rising above bare stems and gently ruffled leaves with their dark inner border, peach fuzz. Leggy, untrimmed, I'm Americana red in a green plastic pot. A scatter of brown blooms dust the soil beneath me. I know how I must look, straining toward the window, close enough to tap it, better yet, break through. Look at me, let me out. Look at me, let me out. Petals weighing nothing. This was actually the first self-portrait poem I wrote, and I don't know, I must have been really angry at somebody. It's called Self-Portrait as an Angry Dog. Steal the roast, shit on the carpet, roll in something dead, lick my balls, mangy fur, scabby, fleas, hot slobber, carrion breath, lips pulled back, yellowed teeth, growl, snarl, foam, pull at the leash, break the chain, leap for the throat, all of it. Self-portrait as a seagull. Forget the jittery plover nesting in the sand, just asking for its eggs to be crushed by your careless foot, nervously darting away and deserting its young if you come near. Picture me on an inflatable lounger knocking ash from my cigar, gin and tonic handy. Trash-talking Murata, screeching with my gang in intertidal pools. I play chicken as you walk the shore. Snatch your lunch from its paper bag. Look for me in the parking lot behind the market where I street fight over clams, then strut, a piece of shell hanging from my beak. Where I live in Salem, the seagulls are very aggressive. There's a place called the Clam Shack, and they have a sign, if the seagulls steal your food, no refunds. And I was there once at the end of the season, and a seagull stole a whole box of chicken nuggets from a toddler's hand. And but they did replace the chicken nuggets for the poor kid. Yeah, and they once took a sandwich out of the hand of my husband's friend. So yeah, take them seriously. Self-portrait as sunrise. Here I am, can girl, high-kicking night out of the sky, coral skirts, hot pink feather boa, arms draped around that electric navy horizon. Dazzle dance, quick flirt, fade, and gather my skirts into that spiked circle children paint in the corner of their pictures. That thing you think you know. For a while, I volunteered. I was a Reiki volunteer at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston. Praise for the ill. Reiki at Brigham and Women's Hospital. Praise to the patient who says of the winter's cold, I wouldn't choose to be here, but at least I'm in a warm, dry bed. To the woman in elegant pajamas waiting for a transplant who asks me how I am. To the young one with the beautiful eyes and thinning hair who smiles when she tells me she'll be here for 6 months and wonders if her mother sent me. To her brother sitting by her bed in a mask, checking his email. To all those who allow me to touch them, and to the patient swollen from burns, skin crackling like a Thanksgiving turkey's, who trusts me not to touch her. To the hallucinating girl who sees bugs crawling toward her and lets me brush them away. To the ones who fidget, the ones who fall asleep, to those who say no and those who say yes. To the woman who told me, your hands are so warm, at first I thought it must be the work of the devil. To the body's frailty and to its strength, to the great generosity of the ill, to the calm they bring me, to their tubes and their wires, their beeping machines, Purell, gloves, masks, and gowns, a list of precautions on each of their doors, an icon of someone falling, high risk. To women whose flanks poke out from their hospital gowns, so lost in their beds I hardly can find them. To men so tall their feet push at the footrail. And to the man whose mechanical heart shakes the bed. As the sky darkens, they struggle to sleep, each breath dedicated to a single purpose. Thank you. So this poem begins with an epigraph by a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, which one of my cousins in particular used to recite to me when I was a kid, but I didn't know it was a Longfellow poem. Better Self. There was a little girl who had a little curl right in the middle of her forehead. When she was good, she was very good indeed, but when she was bad, she was horrid. That's Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. When I'm bored by some slow dinner story about to say, get to the point, my better self interrupts, please pass the peas, then tugs the choke collar. My better self makes excuses for me. I don't know what's got into her. She's not usually like this. Underneath it all, my better self wants to marry me, but she thinks I'm not worthy. She nicknames me Sweetie. I nickname her BS for better self. When I want to bite like a black fly, she gets there first and blows kisses. Can't anyone see how awful she is? She says, you can come out now. Whoops, only joking. I snarl with a mouthful of maggots. She says, listen to me or you're on your own and everyone will know what you're really like. She says, don't talk back. Before we leave for the protest, my better self cuts her eyes at me. When you go to the rally, chant, pump your sign if you must, but don't pick anyone's pocket. When she turns her back, I slip her wallet out of her bag. My better self insists we go to counseling. She wants to work things out. When the therapist asks, "And how do you feel about that?" I shrug, while my better self sniffles and rubs her cheek. "We're getting a divorce," I say, "and I'm taking the car and leaving our issues unresolved because I don't want to prolong this any longer than yesterday." Meaning, I took the keys from the counter, the engine is running, have a nice life. I'd like to read 2 poems from my father. His answer. I lean forward, trying to keep up conversation as I watch my father make himself eat. At 96, he struggles to maintain his weight. 40 minutes for a tiny sandwich, a speck of salad, then cake, ice cream, whipped cream, chocolate sauce. I can't taste anything, he tells me, only desserts. The sweet taste buds are the last to go. He's still shipshape, my father, the marine engineer. Every morning he showers, shaves, dresses himself. I used to be handy, he says. I went around and fixed things for everyone. Now it takes 2 people to help me in and out of the car. I don't want to be bedridden. And what can I say, the mouthy child, who started this conversation by asking what he looks forward to each day? Nothing, he shrugs. I've outlived myself. My father floating. My father floats in a fearful dream, rises outside his body, but he's stuck in the living room, which appears tilted at a surreal angle, ceiling fan coming out of a wall. Float somewhere nicer, my sister suggests. Havana, Athens, Cairo, places he traveled as a younger man, extra pages stapled into his passport in accordion folds. Or maybe visit that East Hampton bungalow we used to rent before it became such a fashionable address. Help, help, he cries, arms flailing. Perched on a ledge about to go over, he can't find the floor, though he's upright, secure, and awake in his chair. The usual laws no longer apply. The structures that house him, the very habits themselves relinquish their long service. Coaxing, demanding, our voices fade to distant traffic, our faces vague moons. I've been out of my body, he tells us at lunch, as we attend to his labored breathing, keep trying to fix his feet to the ground. Let me see. Sorry. So, night sky. If I can find it. Because I didn't put it on my list. Here it is. Night sky. Our troubles show up like stars disturbing the blank night, petty compared to the moon, jewel in a black velvet case. But grouped in constellations, what satisfying tales. The big and little dippers quench our thirst to be tragic as Callisto turned by Juno to a bear. Likewise, we've been wronged by a jealous lover's fear, or, like Andromeda, ruined by a parent's pride, then rescued just in time, or so we like to say to make our lives exciting, at least significant as stars we map our passage by, a story we can squint at, something with a shape. I'd like to end with one more poem from this book after that. Hard work. Hope springs eternal. But I couldn't imagine how hope, before it gets to that bubbling place, forces itself through miles of dirt packed hard, then around, over, under rocks, willing itself not to dry up in the desert or to merge with the sewer of a city street, waiting for frozen prairie to thaw, resisting the warm and mindless absorption of mud, moss, sand, swamp, until it finds a small trembling where, welcome or not, it gathers the last of its strength and breaks through to the surface, the way a laboring woman, stinking, exhausted, summons one last grunt and push to force the baby into the world where it takes its first sharp breath. I bow my head to the hard work of hope. I let it place its dull and heavy hand upon my neck. I submit to its dour blessing. I give up. I begin its thankless, necessary pilgrimage. Thank you all so much for coming.